Alright, welcome back everybody. This is another time-lapse video of me doing a colored pencil drawing of a Mini Sheep-a-Doodle and a Mini Golden-Doodle. And I start off with the eyes, and I'm going in with, usually with the highlight, I usually will do a white colored pencil and kind of more or less, excuse me, burnish that side of the eye where the highlight is, and then when I blend, I can easily take that up if I need to. As we go on, I do end up layering a little bit with what I start with, kind of like my base coat is white and a light gray. So the light gray, I map out the clumps of fur as I go throughout this drawing here. And then I will gently start adding in some of the darker colors around some of those clumps of fur. And then as I blend it out, then I go in with like the darkest darks that I see and add some of those strands or like little fuzzies in there. And then if I need to, so sometimes I don't always blend with my mineral spirits. So that might be like the first couple layers, I might blend that out with my mineral spirits to kind of soften, but sometimes I will go back over with like a lighter colored pencil, and you'll start to kind of burnish the paper with that colored pencil. Now, when I say burnish, like you're not burning the paper, you're basically just adding so much pressure and colored pencil to the paper at some point that it cannot take any more color in the way probably that you want, if that makes sense. So the tooth of the paper gets flattened. So here I'm going in and I'm just adding the details. Now I have not burnished my paper yet, and we're going in and excuse me. Sorry, my throat's been a little stuffy lately. Going in and just keep adding all of these road maps is what I like to call it. So it's like make your road map, layer it out. Don't go in and start rushing and adding an intense amount of color that you can't take up, because the lighter color layers, and especially like the softer that you put your colored pencil down, you can try to take an eraser to it and erase it up. Now, I wouldn't take just any eraser. I have a sanded eraser and it's by the company Tombow, and the sanded eraser name is the Mono sanded eraser. It came in like a pack of two, and I still have, like, I haven't even needed to use my second one. I still have like my first one, and it works really well to get some of those lighter layers up. Or if you're like, you know what, this just looks really weird, you can use that. I don't have an electric eraser, and I know some people like using that, so whichever one you prefer, but I like the sanded eraser. I was always afraid that the electric eraser I would uh, sometimes I have a heavy hand, so I was afraid I'd poke a hole through my paper by accident. So you can see on the ear here, like I went through and I layered some of my light colors, and then I went through and I had my mineral spirits, and then I wanted it to look soft. And then after that dried, you'll kind of see me go back and maybe touch up a little bit once I get more color on to get the contrast and the depth correct. So onto the forehead, this is where you might actually see me use my sanded eraser. Don't remember if my camera died before that or not, but there was this corner of the eye that I just didn't like. It just ended up being like too dark for me, and it's just where like the fur went from like a light to this light brown, and then it kind of mixed in, and for some reason, I just didn't like how it looked on my paper, so I had went back and kind of just gotten rid of it, and then after I got more of the fur color on the dog, I was able to visually be like, oh, okay, I understand what I need to do, and I took my colored pencil and I was able able to get that all situated. But I guess I might do that later on because it doesn't look like I've done it yet. Uh, so this Sheep-a-Doodle, I actually had a pleasure of meeting both of these in person, and the Sheep-a-Doodle was so cute. The Mini Golden-Doodle was really cute too, and she had a very sweet personality. She definitely loved giving kisses. And her fur was actually really soft. In the picture that I was sent, I was actually glad I saw her in person because she was not as dark as she was in that picture. So I didn't want her to be completely dark in this. So even though I have dark colors in there, I try to give a little bit more softer look to her because she had her fur is like really soft. So, but you can see all of the her little eyebrows there, like the fur around the face is always so interesting because you can twist and turn, or um, depending on how they get their dogs cut or groomed, they all sit differently, and sometimes they have like really nice cuts, or you can see where they've gotten a little out of the a little astray. But their personality through their eyes, I think, really came through on this drawing. I was really happy with that. So as we move on to this next year, some friendly reminders. Make sure you kind of do light layers, a light hand pressure as you go through. And the color pencils I used for this is I used the obviously Prismacolor. That's my first go-to. And Derwent Chroma Flow, and I have Derwent ink tints as well. And I also have two Caran d'Ache Luminance pencils that I got in this art box for Christmas from my sister, and I like them. And I was curious because I know one of my other videos, um, I was talking about the light fastness of colored pencils, and trying to do more research and really get an understanding for like what they are. And so I did some research for my colored pencils for Prismacolor. There are many of them that are light fast. As to if they're going to withstand the test of time, probably not so much as like the Caran d'Ache Luminance. So basically over time, more some of like the pinks and oranges, and I think a couple of the uh, greens and blues, just a few of them, aren't very light fast. But I do have a spray that I use over top of all of my drawings. They get sprayed with a protectant seal, and it does protect them from UV and things like that. But I always recommend that my clients do not hang their drawings up in a area that the sunlight is going to be directly on them 24/7, or even at all. You just want natural lighting, extremely low or non-UV lighting on your drawings when you hang them up. So that should help. But once I kind of found out that a lot of the colored pencils from Prismacolor aren't light fast, I wanted to see if I can save up and actually get me a bundle of the Caran d'Ache. But at the moment, my current workspace probably would not allow for a whole nother set of colored pencils. So I have to kind of figure that out. But knowing that, I can always probably go on and get a couple of the colors that I think I would need. Now, I have not researched the Derwent Chroma Flow or the ink tints ones, but I know Derwent has some good light fast colored pencils as well. So I'm just trying to do some more research on that. But definitely, if any of you use Prismacolor or anything of that nature, any colored pencils that you're not sure what the light fastness is for the uh, longevity for the life of your drawing, use a spray and a sealant and a protective all in one. I'm pretty sure I use like a workable fix-it spray. I forget what the brand is. I'm sorry, but you can go to Hobby Lobby or your craft store and look, and you can research and find which one works best for your type of artwork, and that's what I use. So just as a little side note, that's what I've kind of been looking into. And also, if you haven't seen any of my watercolor videos yet, I do have a new one of a blue jay that I posted not too long ago. So you guys go check that out as well. I have started a small collection of watercolor videos. Woo! Getting that going along with my colored pencils. So, and I apologize for any random breaks in the video where you might see like I guess I wasn't as diligent as I thought I was at getting rid of any like little breaks in my camera. So you might see like a little flash of something from my camera, but don't worry about it. I thought I went through and got rid of those. And if you notice, I actually was able to, I got my nice new cam link. So my camera is now recording in a higher definition, like all of the data from my camera is actually now going into my computer. So the quality of my videos should look much nicer. You guys can see a little bit more detail, maybe a little bit closer to what I see on my paper, a little bit more up close. Okay, so anyway, back to the drawing. I didn't mean to go off on a little tangent there. Back to the drawing. So on the muzzle area, I used, let's see, I think I used a couple of my embossing tools. And basically those are like little rounded nub ends. You can get clay tools too, like they're embossing tools, and you can indent the paper to help keep some areas like really white or some kind of texture that you're looking for. Once I got the fluff around the muzzle pretty much about where I wanted, I went in with the nose so that it can settle in, so I can get my brain can visually see where I needed to adjust anything on the muzzle. And I go in with my middle spirits. So what I do with the nose, I layer obviously with my white. Where I really want those highlights to stick, I like burnish them in there. And then I go in with my light gray, map it out, and then I have all those dark colors. I'm pretty sure I use a little bit of blue, a dark blue, obviously black, charcoal gray, and then any texture on the nose that I see, stubble it in there and blend away. Now you can see that there's really light highlights on around the nostrils, around the holes of the nose. It's subtle lighting that really gives the detail. You don't have to have, this was some of the mistakes I made on the very first portraits or drawings that I've ever done, was I made them too bright only because like your phone, your computer picture reference photo, if that's what you're using, or iPad, like the light on there, you are never going to get that extreme lightness on a piece of paper because your paper is not glowing with lights behind it, if that makes sense. So when you are referencing from your phone, this is actually another tip that I have, is turn down either the saturation or the brightness of your picture just a little bit so that you have reassurance. I guess in my head it's like reassurance, lack for a better word. You can visually see that it is not that white. Like the computer white is not white. It is light. Like it's physically a light. You cannot put light on your paper. Your paper is paper. Your colored pencils are paper. For the chest area, when you use or when you have a lighter colored fur, definitely start light and then kind of blend away. You'll see me maybe come back to this a couple times to soften it up. I just didn't want to go too crazy at first. And sometimes like your brain needs a break. So I was really at this point starting to think about the other dog. And I was like, you know what? I just gotta let me start the other puppy and then I can go back and touch up areas that I felt like. Oh, also, I did get a different blender to try because like for the smaller areas, especially like for the eye, I thought maybe it'd be like a good thing to try. It's from the brand Finesse, I think, or Finesse. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Finesse. It's a color pencil blender pen, and it's formulated to blend wax-based colored pencils, and it has a fine tip and a bold tip. And I actually liked using this for the eyes because I could pinpoint exactly where I wanted it to blend versus like using my paintbrush with the mineral spirits on it. Though, yes, I could use like a blending stump, but even at that, sometimes the blending stumps they bend a little bit and then they get kind of squishy. But this, like, the firm side obviously holds its firmness, so I can actually like kind of blend a little bit. Now, there is a small odor to the pen, but it dries really quickly. And I think for small areas, this is really good, but I definitely probably wouldn't use it on if you're doing like a big background or like a big chunk of an area that you want to like kind of really blend together. I would more or less use the mineral spirits or some other method of blending versus the pen that I have. So that's another thing that I tried on here. Tips and tricks for your white doggies. So any white animal, you want to look at what is your lightest color. That is the color that you're going to use as like your base or your, and then maybe your midtone as your road map. And then your darkest color is going to be that very last color you go in, whether or not you're going to blend it or use it to burnish your paper. Okay, so okay, so this is the doggy that I was kind of struggling with on some of that brown area right on the right side there. I was just like, you know what, I just didn't like it, and I tried to take it up a couple times, and you'll see me kind of like mess with it. And I was just mad because I couldn't, so I ended up erasing it. If you see, as you can see, I was like, that's not what I wanted. So I was like, I'm just going to work on some other areas before I go back because I didn't want it dark. And it ended up being dark, and I think my eyes were focusing too hard on that specific area in the picture. Once I got some of the other colors and things in there, I went back in and I just lightly, once I went back in with this bronze color, I was like, okay, I felt much better about because like it, it was like clumps of fur. It wasn't just like that whole area right there wasn't one long piece of tuff. It was like a little clump of fur right there, and I wanted the ends of it just to show a hint that okay, that's where the ends. There's like a next layer underneath of that. Oh, once you guys get a chance to look at the eyes, I did use again my embossing tool to indent some of those hairs that I wanted to keep the subtle details of the strands of hair around the eye because I knew I wasn't going to be able to take it up with my pencil, especially like once you use your mineral spirits to blend your colors into the paper, you can't your X-Acto knife or whatever you use like scraping tool to use on your drawing to take take up the top layer to show the layer underneath, it will not work. I've tried it several times, so sometimes I forget. So before you use your mineral spirits, if there's an area that you really want light and to stay light, or you forgot that you went over it and you want to use your uh, little knife to take away or whatever you use that top layer, do it before you do your mineral spirits. So the lighter colored animals, I usually use my mineral spirits for last, or you have to really map out where you want the lightest colors to be. So you can see here on the ear, I really worked around and mapped out all of those lighter colors on the ear. And then I did go in with my mineral spirits, but I didn't go over those lighter colors with my mineral spirits. I left them alone. Okay, so filling in the bottom of the ear here. Again, leaving those lighter colors that you want. Now, I might have put a layer of white underneath, and if I needed to, I could use that technique and scrape away some, but I've gotten pretty good about just mapping it out and leaving the whites, the lighter colors alone. As I go on with the second dog, you'll see me kind of go back in and touch up. See, you can see me use my little scrapey tool to kind of maybe try to scrape away a little bit. There's an embossing tool there around the nose, a white layer, and then I have, I think, a peach beige color. It was like just like the perfect little color to map out everything. And you can see where the embossing tool is, where I have it like right there, just a hint of it. And you'll see once I get done with the side of the muzzle, especially once I get done with the nose too. Oh, and this nose, I love little pink noses. He had like a little pink nose. It was really cute. Again, this was an area that was also kind of tricky because he did have a tuft of fur right there, as you can see, coming in up and around his nose. And again, I'm doing the same thing on the other side. So I put a base layer of white, mapping out with that peach beige, going in with some of my midtones, and staying away from those really, really light areas as I go in with my Mono Spirits and blend to kind of get that soft look. Because again, these doggies are soft. They're doodles, so that poodle in them, that or the golden retriever as well, not the poodle, oh yeah, this one's a Mini Golden-Doodle. Yeah, so they kind of have that soft, wiry fur, but at the same time, it like it doesn't know what it wants to do. Oh, the nose. Okay, so I go in and I layer with white, a little bit of pink. The pink is actually from the Caran d'Ache, that color. There's no the number. Oh, it does have actually a name on it. I'm looking at it right now. Rouge. Okay, hold on. Her Hercul Herculanum red. It's almost like a salmon red color, like a pinky color. I really liked it. I thought this nose turned out really good too. But see, that little embossing tool really helped with the top area of the nose, just to keep those just a little bit. I don't have to do every strand that I see in the picture, just enough to have like, oh, look at the little strands coming from the nose. Like just a little bit of detail really sets it off. And I'm doing the same thing on the other ear here, except this ear is lighter colored, so I'm not going to be using a ton of uh, darker grays on this ear like I did for the other ear. Moving on to the chest area, I wanted to get the chest and the little chin area done because that kind of really helps set if I need to go in and adjust any lights or any dark colors uh, on the dog. So once you get towards the end, it's okay to step back and look at your drawing and make it right for the paper. Don't make it right for the picture, but make it right for the paper. So if you sit back and you're like, you know what, I kind of would like to see this maybe a little bit darker here. So like you can see me going back and touching up around the eye, like, I need that a little bit darker. Sometimes I'll go back in and touch up a little bit around the ears because I really wanted those ear colors to stand out a little bit more depth here and there. So once you get really good at getting that structure and the softness of whatever you're doing, now maybe your drawing might be a rougher drawing, like maybe maybe the dog is short-haired or has like more strong wiry fur. So you just got to practice on a piece of paper before you just go in and start hammering away. Now I've done a couple already soft animals. I've done short-haired animals as well. And I felt comfortable going in with both of these together and doing them as a double portrait. And the tuft on the fur down here on the chest, don't overcomplicate clumps of hair. So you'll kind of see me, oh, actually we're getting towards the end of the video. You'll see a zoomed out nice picture right here. That is nice. So anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you have a great rest of the day. And I look forward to making more art videos in the future and more tips and tricks along the way. Don't want to extend this any longer than it needs to be. and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. All right, see you in the next one, guys. Bye.